Big Z Reviews. The Black Phone is a new horror movie that just came out to theaters this past weekend. And, honestly, it's one of the best horror films I've seen in a while. I absolutely loved it.
I'm staying over at Susie's tonight.
What's new? The flyer.
The papers call him the grabber.
I wish you wouldn't call him that.
You don't actually believe that story, do you? Because he can't hear you, and he doesn't really take kids that safe.
Oh, you goof.
So this was directed by Scott Derrickson. And he was in the running for, he was going to direct the sequel to Doctor Strange, but then they had problems with Marvel, disagreements. And instead, he left that and he decided instead to do this much smaller film, The Black Phone. And I'm glad he did because, this is an amazing movie. And again, he directed it. The writer is based on the short story by Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King. And then Robert Cargill wrote the screenplay. He's kind of like his writing partner, Scott Derrickson's. And there's just so much great about this because, there's something so interesting about this film and honest. It's set in the past, in the 80s, but it's not stuck in the 80s. It still feels very modern. The premise is just that there's this person that all the kids and everyone's calling the grabber that's going around kidnapping kids in their town, and no one can figure out who it is, and that's eventually the main character is one that gets grabbed. But I love that so many horror films, I always kind of hate that you're supposed to care about these characters being haunted or killed or whatever is going to happen to them, but so many times the directors, they don't give the characters time to breathe. They just throw them right into whatever is going to happen. And I love that in The Black Phone, you have a decent amount of time at the beginning where you get to know these characters. And that just makes it so you love them. They're very interesting characters. The main one is Mason Thames as Finney, and then his sister, Madeline McGraw, as Gwen. And then you have Ethan Hawke as a grabber, and Jeremy Davies as the kid's dad. And their relationship is very interesting because, it's an abusive relationship. Their dad, beats them. He's an alcoholic. But then I love that it's not so simple. In most stories, if they show an abusive relationship, it's just an abusive relationship. But the weird thing is that there's still love there. Jeremy Davies, he still loves his kids. He's an alcoholic, and he gets angry. He takes it out on his kids with his belt. And that there's this thing too where the kids still kind of love him too, because you see them kind of partner off. She's going to stay overnight with a friend, and she tells him, it's your turn to watch Dad. So they're almost taking care of him when he's really drunk. And there's so many moments too that you'll see them, the bond between the brother and sister is so interesting. And it's so loving, but also complex. You don't really see that much often in modern media, where just that they in the moment they don't say anything after something bad happens, and you see them sitting next to each other, and Madeline puts her head down on the brother's shoulder, and it's just so honest and heartfelt, and it's kind of masterful and beautiful. But to continue the setup, of course, Mason Thames has to be kidnapped by the grabber, Ethan Hawke. And then when that happens, and the rest of the movie becomes that, it kind of becomes a thriller and a mystery too, because while he's in this creepy basement with this black phone on the wall that's connected to nothing, but is a link to the spiritual world, where he can talk to the other kids that the grabber killed, and they can kind of give him advice on how to survive and how to get revenge on the grabber, and how to fight back. like is so interesting. But at the same time, you have Madeline. She is, she has psychic dreams. Like before, like that's one reason why the dad got really upset at her, was because she like told people that she had a dream about the grabber, and that was stuff that the police hadn't released. And then that, when her brother gets kidnapped, like the whole thing that like she's like praying to Jesus to like give me the dreams, and you just figure out like what happened and where he is. But that's also something so interesting, because like that's why Jeremy Davis' dad like hates the dreams and doesn't want to hear about them, is because his wife, their mother, also had dreams. But then at one point, the dreams told her to kill herself, and she did. So that he doesn't want to hear about the dreams, even if they might be real. And it's like this such an interesting dynamic, because like she's trying to solve the crime while the police are solving it, but like the police start to come to her like with maybe she might have some actual, the dreams she may know something she shouldn't know, so we should listen to her. Like some great stuff there. But then really the bulk of the film that's spent in the grabber's basement, and the grabber, the design of him is so interesting. And I love to, like a lot of horror films, they smash you in the face with all the backstory of this character, explain why he is how he is. And with Ethan Hawke, there's no explanation for why he is who he is. I mean, there's things that they give you clues throughout the film, and little comments about maybe some of his backstory, but they never hammer you over the head with it. And I love that aspect of the film, but he has this mask, and like it covers his whole face, but then he has, it's like two parts, like depending on his mood or what part of the game he's playing with Mason they're at, he'll like have a smiley face, or have like a no emotion face, or have a frowny face. Especially when you first see the frowny face, it's startling. And then he can also he wants to have even more emotion and feel really like, I'm a good guy. I'm not going to hurt you. You might even take the top part of the mask and just have Ethan Hawke's beautiful eyes there. And it's such an interesting character, especially. And I love too that so many times if you're going to have a kid, be the victim, and he has to overcome the bad guy, they make the bad guy like a bumbling idiot. And he's never a bumbling idiot. If Mason is going to have to fight back, he's going to have to overcome, a man that's killed multiple kids and is good at it. Well, I don't say good at killing kids, but you know what I'm saying. But like he has to make plans, and there's a big thing too that like throughout, like you say that because he's his dad abuses him, so like he gets bullied at school, he gets beat the shit out of at school, and that like he's good at taking a punch, but he never fights back. So that this whole big part of that is that like you're gonna have to fight back, and that's like the different kids telling them how to do it. For the dead kids, like, and I love that this is a horror film, but it's not. There are no fake jump scares, and they're like maybe 2 or 3 kind of little jump scares, but like they're like honest scares. They're like sometimes he may actually occasionally see the ghosts of the dead kids, and other times just the viewer sees them pop up while he's talking to him on the phone. And I love too that the kids, like usually if you show a dead kid, they're gonna be like angels. There's gonna be nothing wrong with them. And one of the kids was like that, and that was one of the saddest parts of the film. Is like they show each like kid how they were grabbed, and a little bit about like who they were when he first starts talking to them. And the one kid was like a paper boy, and he would do the paper route with his golden retriever running next to him. And I'm a golden retriever guy. I had two golden retrievers. Like my brother and I got one from sisters from the same litter, and mine died like 2 years ago or so. But like the other one's still going strong, Cambria, at like 12, even though her back legs don't work well. So when they show the dog a golden retriever sitting next to the kid's bike, like looking all sad, barking at the van driving away. It's just like, oh my god. Thankfully, though, there's no animal deaths. That's like when I first showed the animal. I'm like, oh no, don't kill the dog. They don't, thankfully. But like some of the other kids that are grabbed, they're not good kids. They're some of the bad kids. Like, and so I love that they're not. But they're not. Each kid is kind of its own thing, and it's really well written. I really truly believe. And then when you finally get to the climax of the film, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I loved how everything worked out. Like, it was very, very climactic and bloody and startling, and how everything kind of finally, like, all the different plot threads come crashing together at the same moment. And like, there's so many things going on that is such a great climax, and I just absolutely loved it. And like, it's just such a great film. I would highly recommend The Black Phone to everyone. Like, even if you're not a huge horror fan, I think that people would really like this, because it's like a thriller mystery aspect to it too. And I really loved it. I'd probably give like 9.5, 9.75 out of 10. Yeah, I definitely highly recommend The Black Phone. But thanks for watching. If you want to see more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.